Well, thank you for giving me the floor to say a few words, a few closing remarks of this conference. But let me first express my gratitude and the ICTY gratitude for all those who sponsored this conference and for all those who organized the conference. So my gratitude goes particularly to the people that in the tribunal and outside the tribunal cooperated for the organization of the conference, an organization that has been excellent in any respect. Let me say that the 4 panels that we had today were characterized by an extremely interesting and rich debate based on very good statements by the panelists. And I wish to express my appreciation and thanks to all those who took the floor during the conference, from the panels and from the audience. As to the substance of our deliberations, I believe it's difficult now at this late hour to draw final conclusions on what we have discussed today. It will be probably too long also to make such conclusions in detail. I believe the opportunity we had today to exchange views on such important issues of the legacy of the tribunal, but especially of the future for this country and other countries in the region was extremely useful and important, including the question of the archives that was taken up in the last panel. The variety of the themes that were taken up today will give us material for reflection and will help, I think, to shape policies on how better to ensure that the legacy of the ICTY does not go lost after the closing of our facilities in The Hague. But while I will not even try to deal with or summarize all what has been discussed, I would like nevertheless to pick up without any idea of being complete some issues that were taken up. And I will start with a note of optimism. It's true there has been criticism on many issues. There were debates, responses that may be replies that were not satisfactory here and there. But I think that one thing is clear, and that is accepted by everybody, I think, here, and is that there is an awareness that the closing of the ICTY is not the end of the story. The closing of the ICTY still leaves a number of things to be done, still put responsibility on many people to continue the work. The ICTY has done something, maybe have done it well or not well in some cases, this is more than natural, but there is still much to do, a lot of work to be done. Why I say this awareness is important? Because when an institution closes, it has certain responsibilities. The trend might be to say, well, it closes, it's finished. It closes, it starts at the same time. So it closes, but there is a lot to do. There is a lot of things to do. I think everybody acknowledges this, that there are responsibilities to continue the work. It has to continue on the judicial side to a large extent. We started we started also a few years ago, except might have been late. We started a bit late, perhaps, this process of going back to the countries in the region here. But the problem, we are not perhaps prepared ourselves to take that issue up. When we started, we tried to establish through visits, through meetings of prosecutors, meetings of judges, tried to establish a partnership, a judicial partnership with the local judiciaries, in order that the work could continue better in a more harmonic way, not without the local judiciary having to start from the scratch to deal with the questions of the tribunal. I think that was extremely important to start that process, because now I feel when we close, the domestic judiciaries can go on in a more easy way than they would have done elsewhere. I will not repeat the question of the judicial assistance, but when the tribunal was set up, everything was drafted in the way that the local institutions had to cooperate with the tribunal, had to make the tribunal work, had to provide their cooperation for an efficient tribunal in The Hague. And at the moment, the idea came that it should have been otherwise. The tribunal should cooperate with the local jurisdictions. And some measures that were taken in this respect were important. But at the same time, when we started this process of bilateral cooperation with domestic jurisdictions, we realized that that was not enough. That probably the main issue of this was to put in place or to promote cooperation between the jurisdiction of the countries concerned here. And that is extremely important. I was happy to hear that there are projects of agreements on cooperation. Some agreements are already in place, but it's extremely important that all the judicial community works working in different countries, get together and participate in this exercise. So there is, from the judicial point of view, a lot to do. I'm confident that the way is paved for this to be effective, both in the relation between the tribunal and the domestic judiciaries, and in the essential cooperation among the judiciaries in the region. The second aspect that I think is important, and here too, although there was much discussion on this, is the question of the reconciliation through recognition of the past and through information about the past and education about the past. This is I already said something during a panel. I don't want to repeat what I said, but it's extremely important that this is carried out. The archives is a part of it. The information through the information center is a part of the process. Other action has to be taken by education institutions, by schools, by universities. Education, we know, is a continuous process. It never ends. But it's extremely important not to lose the effects of the past. And finally, as I've been optimistic, a warning. A warning that there is never, when something is achieved, is never achieved. In human rights matters, like in international crimes, it's one must always be alert. It's easy to manipulate the past. It's easy to recognize or to change what has been recognized and make these steps backwards. It's easy to say, for instance, I just take one example because it's been raised. It's been repeated several times here. Rape, through the ICTY case law, has been recognized as a war crime. That's quite clear to everybody. But this is not a conclusive word. Then, on this, there must be action. It's not enough to say we have recognized rapes as a crime. Then it has to be, action has to be taken in order when that the rapes are punished. And things go on. It's always, sometimes the achievement is an alibi for stopping. It should never be. So that's, I think, is extremely important. It's just a warning I wanted to put as a last note of this extremely good and exciting day we had here in Zagreb. Thank you.
In my closing remarks, I would like to thank Judge Pokar for excellent closing remarks, which made my life difficult because now I have to say something and I'm left with almost nothing to say. I will focus on what has been said today. I will share some personal remarks and I hope that will lead to some conclusions. What is it that we heard today about the legacy of ICTY? We first heard that impunity is a thing of the past. ICTY was established and impunity no longer existed. It also contributed to the establishment of a new jurisprudence, a new set of legal mechanisms or institutes. And I think that is one of the major contributions, if not the greatest, of ICTY. Its impact on justice and judiciary systems in the region. Regarding the impacts of ICTY, in Croatia, we now use video conferences in proceedings. We have not done that before ICTY existed. We have also seen different situation for defendants. There is a list of lawyers in the Bar Association who have expertise in dealing with that. And that is also important and has to do with ICTY's existence. Unfortunately, one important thing was not established, and this is a mechanism of compensating victims. Unfortunately, ICTY's practice has not established this as a mechanism that should continuously exist to strengthen the position of victims. And yet it is the victims who suffered the most. They need to feel satisfied with judgments, but I feel that there were some other forms of satisfaction that they should have been afforded. From the aspect of history, we had one proposition. We heard that ICTY writes history, that writing history is not the job of ICTY. We heard that it was high time that historians should use the court and so on. All this is true. The court does not write history. The courts and the tribunal establishes facts in its proceedings. Whatever takes place in proceedings is a solid base for further court proceedings and for historians of the future. This brings us to the issue of the archive as one of the most important mechanisms of the residual mechanism. This is related to information dissemination to the public. We have talked about various weaknesses in informing the public. not many people know a lot about ICTY's work, even law students, youth, but also some experts or those who purport to be experts. Have we started too late with our regional conferences? Well, perhaps we did. Has the outreach program come in too late when it started last year instead of starting several years ago? Perhaps it was a bit too late. But still, what remains important is the existence of the residual mechanism. It will continue on with the functions of ICTY. We are extremely happy not to have any fugitives at large. And this is also a very important function of the residual mechanism, which has been completed fully. Everybody is apprehended. I am talking here about those whom were taken to The Hague in the last year or so. What is also encouraging is the fact that the residual mechanism will open the door to a huge amount of work that needs to be done in cooperating with domestic judiciaries, helping them process war crimes. There is no statute of limitation regarding war crimes, so this is a long-lasting objective. And it is also the responsibility and task of judiciaries in the countries of the region.